Hey guys, it's Kingdom Orange 2 here, and welcome back to my channel. Since you guys know how much I love to rank things, for today's video I thought it would be fun to sit down and rank the couples at Monster High. However, I didn't just choose couples from the cartoon, I also selected relationships that were mentioned in the doll diaries. And one more thing before we go on, I decided to treat Jackson and Holt as a single person. I know that some characters only interacted with one, the other, or both, but I didn't feel like it was right to split them up. Besides, Frankie knows better than anyone, Holt and Jackson are a package deal. You can't just date one without accepting the other. Now with all that being said, let's get this list started at number 30. Number 30 is Nightmare and Archer.
Immediately no. Immediately no. Immediately no. Like instantly, I was like, yeah, no.
Number 29 is Lorna McNessie and Finn. While I don't condone Gil taking Lorna to the Gloom and Bloom dance, I think it's really awful that Finn broke up with Lorna over text message, especially after she struggled with his parents not accepting both of them. Number 28 is C.A. Cupid and Claude Wolf. Besides this relationship only being a result of Cupid misfiring her arrows, I found them to be really cringy together. They were too lovey-dovey with each other, and I hate when couples act like that. Number 27 is Claudine Wolf and Thad. So Claudine never really gave Thad a chance. I know once we found out why she stood him up on their date, we were more sympathetic, but after they meet each other in Ghoul's Rules, we never see Thad again. Also, I kind of hate the idea of Claudine dating someone in Draculaura's family, especially since Draculaura dates her brother. Number 26 is Iris Klops and Manny Tor. I appreciate that Manny shows the softer side of himself when he is around Iris, but honestly, I don't know what she sees in him. They really struggle to communicate, and I don't think they have that much in common. Number 25 is Draculaura and Kieran Valentine. I know I said earlier I was only going to be talking about couples that had mutual feelings towards each other, but I had to include them on this list because I believe they technically used to date. I think they are actually really cute together, and even though he was only using her for bad intentions, I did really enjoy their scenes. Valentine is pretty charming, and he really knows how to wine and dine someone. Number 24 is Toralei Stripe and Rocco. As much as these two are perfect for each other because they are both horrible monsters, their relationship felt really forced and out of plot convenience. I genuinely sense no real chemistry between the two of them, as Toralei strikes me as someone that would prefer to be solo. Number 23 is Draculaura and Heath Burns. So in all honesty, Heath shouldn't be dating anyone, let alone Draculaura. It was cute to see them together at first until it was revealed that he was a jerk to her. However, I do appreciate that the writers of Monster High gave us some closure in regards to their relationship, and it wasn't like they stopped dating out of nowhere like a lot of couples on this list. Number 22 is Hezekiah Steam and Headless Headmistress Bloodgood. Honestly, teacher relationships are always kind of gross, but with Hezekiah and Headmistress Bloodgood, I struggled to figure out if they were a couple or not. In the diaries, it is very slightly hinted that the two have feelings for each other, and even though I guess teachers deserve love too, I don't like the idea of Bloodgood being Rebecca's stepmother. Number 21 is Claudine Wolf and Wraith. Claudine is a tough cookie to crack until Wraith slowly gets her to let her guard down, but honestly, nobody ever asked for Claudine to have a love interest, and if they were planning on giving her one officially, they couldn't at least come up with someone who has a better character design and name. Number 20 is Draculaura and Jackson Jekyll. So in the diaries, Draculaura and Jackson were neighbors, and one time Jackson asked Draculaura to bite him, hoping it would make himself fit better into Monster High, but she said no. As awkward as this sounds, she does invite him to Claudine's barbecue later, but their relationship is never talked about again. Honestly, I can't really see Draculaura and Holt having anything in common, and I feel like Draculaura is way too outgoing for Jackson. Number 19 is Operetta and Holt Hyde. Operetta and Holt went on a date to a concert, but Holt got them kicked out after starting a fight with a gargoyle. Now I do love the fact that both of them are musicians, so it seems like they would be perfect for each other, but I could see Operetta and Holt getting irritated with each other over time, and Operetta would easily intimidate and scare Jackson away. Number 18 is Laguna Blue and Gillington Weber. So Gil and Laguna are supposed to be the Monster High version of Romeo and Juliet. They come from two different worlds. She is from the sea and he is from the river, and their species hated each other. But Laguna and Gil wouldn't let that stop their love. Over the series, we see them struggle with navigating their relationship, but after a while, I grew really tired of their problems. I understand why Gil didn't want to stand up to his parents because he was scared that they would send him away, which they inevitably did. did. The way he handled the situation by ignoring Laguna was kinda childish. I do think Laguna would pester him way too often about talking to his parents, but I don't think it was healthy that she wished to change herself for his parents' approval. I know that all couples go through ups and downs in their relationship, but with Laguna and Gil, I could have cared less if they broke up. Besides, both of them are still in high school, and if they genuinely wanted to work this out, at least they should wait until they move out of their parents' house. Number 17 is Marisol Coxey and Sanswat. I really like the message that he saw past Marisol's insecurities, but even though we only saw one webisode about their relationship, Sanswatch's voice and appearance always screamed way older than a high schooler, and I find that to be kind of creepy and weird. Number 16 is Abby Abominable and Heath Burns. So everyone seems to love this couple because she's ice and he's fire, and that means that they are opposite and opposites attract, yada yada. But I think at this point we have enough cliche couples at Monster High, we don't need another one. They do share a lot of cute moments together, but I feel like eventually Abby would get really annoyed with Heath. Number 15 is Operetta and Johnny Spirit. So he's a rebel, she's a bad girl, they both love music and have a similar American rocker look going on. The only thing I hate about them together is in the special Haunted, Operetta suddenly becomes this damsel in distress like girlfriend who needs Johnny for emotional and physical support. Number 14 is Catty Noir and Seth Ptolemy. I go back and forth about how I feel about this couple. Part of me really enjoys seeing them together. I like how they are both musical and seem to complement each other well, not just musically but also emotionally. However, the other part of me finds Seth to be kind of cringy, and when they would duet, they would go on and on and on. I was almost glad to see Toralei steal Catty's voice because they finally stopped singing for a second. Number 13 is Cleo Denial and Claude Wolf. Listen, I know this relationship was only because they were accidentally shot by one of Cupid's arrows, but I felt like this pairing actually makes a lot of sense. Cleo is the queen bee of the school and Claude is the big man on campus, and even though their breakup was mutual because they had no feelings for each other, I wish that the writers didn't bring Cupid into this because I think their breakup would have made for some interesting drama, especially in that webisode where Deuce almost fights Claude because he thinks he's sending Cleo flowers. Number 12 is Gina Firelong and Heath Burns. With Gina Fire and Heath, there was never an official sign or statement that they were dating each other. I know that Heath did try to flirt with her in Fear to Eternity, and Gina Fire and Heath were seen dancing together on multiple occasions. Now, I suppose that Gina Fire and Heath are just as cliche as Abby and Heath were, but I really like them together. I think Heath needs a more serious girl, and both Gina Fire and Abby fit that, but I just prefer him with Gina Fire more. Number 11 is Gulia Yelps and Slow-Mo Dedovich. These two were a bit hard to rank since we can't really tell if they had a lot in common because they don't speak. Now, I did enjoy seeing moments throughout the series where they both struggled to impress each other, but sometimes I wonder how strong their relationship truly is, especially since Gulia seems to debate whether or not she should date Donna the Dead on multiple occasions. Number 10 is Frankie Stein and Andy Beast. Frankie and Andy were a good couple. She showed him not to fear others and to embrace his freaky flaws. But there were a couple of things I wasn't crazy about in regards to the two of them. Firstly, I'm not a fan of how Andy initially liked Frankie because she reminded him of his human scientist friend. While I know it's not a big deal and everyone has exes in their past, I feel like this would have made things kind of awkward. Second, we are aware that Andy is prone to outbursts of anger, and even though he never hurt Frankie in the process of transforming, that's a lot of baggage for someone to deal with. Honestly though, I guess the only reason we never got to see more of them together was because Andy was never created into a doll or shown in the cartoons, and I have a feeling they only did that because they didn't want to create another mold for his head and body. Number 9 is Spectra Vondergeist and Portergeist. So at first, Porter was this immature bad boy who was kind of an annoyance to Spectra and never listened to her. However, over the course of the movie, he shows that he isn't really his personality, even building her a desk and transferring all of her detention chains to him so that Spectra could stop Principal Revenant's plan. My only complaint about this couple was I felt like their feelings for each other happened a little too fast, but I really like them together nonetheless. Number 8 is Frankie Stein and Jackson Jekyll / Holt Hyde. Frankie is technically the only girl on this list who dated both Jackson and Holt, as she was the first one to discover that they were the same person. Now, I did really like them both together despite all of their issues, but I could tell that they weren't going to work out as soon as Frankie got annoyed with trying to deal with their problems. Even though Frankie only put their relationship on pause, I'm happy that both of them have moved on to better partners. Number 7 is Gory Fangtel and Bram Devane. I know that we barely got to see them together, as Gory was often shown in the TV specials without him, and while this could have been taken as a sign they might have broken up, I see this instead of them being a strong couple. We don't know much about their past, but it appears that they've been dating for a while, and even though they are both kind of mean monsters, I do like the fact that they can love each other without always being all over each other. Number 6 is Scara Screams and Invisibility. The storyline of Scara and Invisibility not being sure that the other would like them was really cute, even though I always found it weird that they were stalking each other. But honestly, people do stuff like this all the time and they just don't admit it, so kudos to them for having the guts to do this. I don't have much more to say other than I just really like them together, so yeah, let's move on. Number 5 is Claire and Jackson Jekyll. So when I was first making this list, I was like, what is up with Jackson constantly being paired with girls that are complete opposites of him? However, after watching Ghouls Rule, I realized what a perfect pair they were for each other. They're both kind of social outcasts. He is shy and nerdy while she is goth. The only issue I can see arising is that I don't know how Claire feels about Holt. At the end of Ghouls Rule, Claire sticks headphones on Holt so that he would transform into Jackson. So while it could just mean she wanted to kiss Jackson over Holt, I think for this relationship to work, she would need to accept both sides of him. Number 4 is Frankie Stein and Nathan Rott. Their relationship is very similar to Frankie's other relationships with Jackson and Andy. She is the one girl at school who tries to help the new boy fit in. The only difference with Nathan is that I didn't feel like he came with as much baggage as the other guys did. I also felt like this relationship was mutually beneficial. Not only did Frankie help Nathan, but Nathan helped listen and resolve some of Frankie's issues. Where I feel like with her other relationship, she was the one who had to put up with all of their problems. Number 3 is Draculaura and Claude Wolf. So originally I didn't think Claude and Draculaura were going to end up so high on this list. They are very cliche, especially because when they were first introduced in the early 2010s, the whole vampire versus werewolf thing was very trendy thanks to movies like Twilight and the Vampire Diaries. Another thing that really annoyed me about them was how clingy Draculaura was. She like freaks out if they aren't constantly speaking to each other, which I always found kind of strange because she probably had a lot of relationships in the past. Now, with that being said, I just can't hate Draculaura and Claude. They have a lot of cute moments together, and Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love really showed us that even though Draculaura has had lovers in the past, her and Claude are soulmates, despite Draculaura probably not having a soul. Number 2 is Cleo Denial and Deuce Gorgon. From the very beginning, we always wondered why Deuce and Cleo were dating, as they seemed to be complete opposites of each other. She was a mean girl and he was the nicest guy at school. However, unlike a lot of couples on this list, I feel like their opposite natures really complement one another. Now, they were also able to stand on their own, as Cleo didn't need Deuce to constantly be following her around, but he was always there for her when it mattered. The one thing though that always bothered me was their relationship in the movie Boo York, Boo York. I like how we finally got a movie that focused on them as a couple, but the way the writers characterized Deuce really annoyed me. Suddenly, he became a naive idiot, and honestly, I could see why Nephra and her father wanted them to break up. But besides all that, Cleo and Deuce's relationship remained strong, and I will never say that I hadn't at least cried once to their breakup song, Sorry It's Over. So finally at number 1, we have Rochelle Goyle and Garrett DeRock. This may come as a surprise to a lot of you, but I always really like this pair. First of all, their story is so romantic. I love that Garrett cared so much about Rochelle that he created his own type of rose bush for her, and that Rochelle held on to his letters for a very long time. I also really like the fact that even though they were apart from each other for so long, they never stopped caring about one another. I don't know, maybe it's the hopeless romantic inside of me, or the fact that I had my own issues dealing with a long-term relationship, but I relate to the two of them so much. Now, the only thing that never made sense to me was after all of this effort was made into finding Garrett, he decides to stay in Scaris? I know they said they would continue writing each other, but you would think he would end up coming back with her to Monster High. So originally I was going to include some characters that had crushes on each other, like Rochelle and Deuce, Romulus and Howleen, and Ghoulia and Dawn of the Dead. But when creating this video, I realized that Heath Burns has literally flirted with every girl at this school, which would have made this list longer than the deep end of the Monster High pool. This list was really fun to make, so I plan on doing more videos like this in the future. Also, feel free to follow me on my Instagram and TikTok pages. I love meeting new people and interacting with all of you. If you liked this video today and want to see more content in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I will see you soon. Bye!